what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Hope you got your cafecito. I got mine, as you can see from the Mecca La Carreta. Cheers, family. Les, always loyal. Thanks for being on the show. Best. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Please come in and hit that like button. Got a good show for you guys tonight. I don't know if you guys remember, we had him on the Flow Show a few months back. Cal Friedman, he's a beat writer for Kane Sport, so he'll be coming on to talk to us, a little bit of football, a little bit of baseball, basically a little bit of all things Canes. So he'll be joining us in about 10 to 15 minutes. So please, if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. But so I feel like I got to at least mention this because, the news broke a couple hours ago. But at the end of the day, this is a sports show, a college football show. None of this is really that important. At the end of the day, sports is just entertainment. It's an escape from real life. And, we had a sobering reminder a couple hours ago out of Texas that life is very, very short. As my co-host always says, to borrow a line from him, he usually finishes the show like this, but I'm going to start my show like this. Please, today of all days, find someone you love, give them a hug, give them a kiss, because life is short, man. Life is real, real short. I really don't want to get into it beyond that, but just, second bit of tragic news in the last couple of weeks, so just thought I'd mention that. But anyway, as I segue seamlessly from that onto the show, let's talk some Canes. So we had some news in the baseball world. So the ACC tournament is starting up soon, and the Canes finished the regular season strong. They beat Notre Dame 2 out of 3 and pretty much locks up a national seed. We'll talk to Cal about that in a little bit, but I think pretty much there's I don't think our performance in the ACC tournament matters too much, to be honest with you. These are the situations where I don't really like the conference tournaments. I just want to jump right into the postseason, jump right into the regionals and the super regionals. But yes, thank you. Appreciate that, Les. I'll leave that up for a minute. But yeah, so as far as the baseball goes, I just want the postseason to start already. I really don't think the ACC tournament counts for much, aside from teams just trying to, scratch and claw their way to like a better seeding. I think Miami's good right now. But best of luck to them. Anyway, going to the ACC tournament, I hope they win the whole thing. No injuries is what I'm hoping for. But should touch on this. All ACC honors were given, I believe, today or yesterday to first team All ACC. We got Carson Palmquist and Walters, the closer. So both those guys, first team All Conference. Congrats to them. Both had amazing years and two huge reasons why they had the season they had. And then you got guys like CJ Kafis and Yo-Yo Morales, a few other guys that got second team honors. So, congrats to them. And they got a nice young core, and I think this baseball team is going to be good for a long time. We might even owe Gino DiMario an apology because we were jumping all over him, me included. I'm happy to say that I was not on the fire Jim Larinaga train when it comes to basketball, but when it comes to baseball, I was getting on Gino DiMario pretty hard. Maybe we owe him an apology. We'll see. But big congrats to those guys. And as for the football stuff, we got some recruiting to cover. I wanted to go over, the season's still a few months away, but a little bit of schedule predicting. I always love to do that. And, we'll jump into the schedule now while we wait for our guest. Got a question from Les. John, do you believe there's a chance our Canes defense could be dominant this year? Dominant, no, but I think they could be solid. I think they could be good enough that they can, help the offense, which they did not do last year. Last year, I think we gave up over 30 points a game in one stretch. It was pretty much, when we were on that winning streak, it was pretty much Tyler Van Dyke and the offense making plays. So if the defense can be a top 20, top 25 defense, man, this team can really go far. That plus being able to run the ball. But anyway, let me dive into the schedule really quick. Looking at the schedule, I was thinking about this, and let me ask the chat. You guys tell me what you think. What would be more important in year one for Mario for this team? Would it be getting off to a fast start and having an impressive win on the road against Texas A&M? You could only have one of these scenarios. Impressive win on the road against A&M. We start, 4 or 5-0 or whatever. Or would it be more important to finish strong? What would you prefer to see as a fan? I'll give you guys a minute to fill that in. Take a drink of my water. Cafecito makes me thirsty. I don't know if showed you guys my Cane's Yeti little gift from my girlfriend. Thanks, babe. I don't even know if she's watching. But yeah, so let me know, guys. Put it in the chat. What would you rather see from this team? Finishing strong or starting strong? Like, what would be more important, I guess, for the perception of this program moving forward? Stacy says, finish strong. I'm going to have to agree with you, because let's say, think of this scenario for a second. Let's say, we win our first two games, obviously, because I think it's Bethune-Cookman and Southern Miss, I think, are the first two games. And say we trip up against Texas A&M. Well, I wouldn't even call it tripping up. I mean, they're a solid team. They're a good team. It's on the road. Let's say we lose that game. And, and then we'll bounce back and beat Middle Tennessee State. Maybe we trip up middle of the season. But then during that tough stretch, which is the second half of the year, which is Virginia on the road, FSU at home, and hang on, let me pull up that schedule. 1 second, folks. Hurricanes schedule. Yeah, there's a tough stretch late in that season because, yeah, exactly. It's all you guys pretty much agree. So I'm gonna have to agree with you. It's something we have not seen this team do in a very long time. So you got, let's see, UNC, Virginia Tech. Okay, Virginia on the road, Florida State at home, Georgia Tech on the road, Clemson on the road, Pittsburgh at home. And remember, yes, Pittsburgh just lost Kenny Pickett, but I think they got a pretty good quarterback prospect coming in. And with that coaching staff, they're always scrappy. Yes, it does help that we're at home. I would not feel good about that game if we're finishing Georgia Tech on the road, Clemson on the road, and Pittsburgh on the road. So that's going to be a tough, because if we don't beat Clemson, that's going to be a tough game to bounce back and win, because that could be for the Coastal title. You never know. So, yeah, I'm going to say finishing strong is way more important for this team. Texas A&M last 4 recruiting classes, 4, 6, and 8th. Of course, last year's historic class was first. Yeah. A&M's no joke, man. Are they anywhere near like Alabama going into last year? No, it's not the same thing. I was very honest with myself. I predicted pretty much the entire offseason, we're not going to beat Alabama. Could we put up a fight? Could we have a good showing and maybe impress some people? Maybe. That didn't happen. But yeah, Texas A&M, let's say you trip up there, maybe even trip up against UNC or Virginia Tech, but then you start to pick it up. You beat Duke, beat Virginia, beat Florida State. And then all of a sudden you go on a run and beat Clemson at the end of the season. I think that is way more important. I want to see how this team finishes with maybe a couple guys getting nicked up late in the season, because that's bound to happen. It's football. Those last few games, no one is 100%. And Clemson has either a 31 or 34 game winning streak at home. We have to end that. We have to end that. There's no way we're going to let them even sniff our 58 in a row. So, with that, my guest is in the waiting room. Let me bring him in 1 second, folks.
How you
Cal,
doing?
what's going on?
Not
Good,
bad,
man. How you been? I know you've been busy with school and everything. How's everything going?
Oh man, it's been just a wild couple of weeks, but now I'm actually up in Wisconsin for the summer. So yeah.
Nice.
hmm
Nice. What's the weather like in Wisconsin? Is it still kind of chilly or is it getting hot?
You know what? Actually, it was nice today. I had to buy some stuff for my room. It was like 50 degrees when I went out this morning, but then as I was working throughout the day, it was like 75 degrees. So it was beautiful.
Yeah, that was here. That was the weather here like a month ago. Not anymore. It's summer.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
hot as
no.
hell.
I just left, so I was broadcasting baseball literally last weekend, and it was brutal, just so
Mhm.
humid.
Yeah.
hmm
Well, speaking of baseball, before we dive into that,
Yeah.
tell the people, kind of, I know some of the people probably recognize you from Twitter and stuff, maybe from the
hmm
time you were on the Flow show, but let them know who you are and like where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Cal Friedman. I'm a rising senior now at the University of Miami. That still just doesn't sound right to say, but I work for Kane Sport as one of the beat writers there, and I'm also one of the broadcasters for WVM, which is the student radio station. If you want to look for my stuff, best place would be my Twitter, which is my last name underscore my first name, so Friedman underscore Cal.
Nice. All right. So about the big, like, I'm a huge Canes baseball fan. So,
Yeah.
this season was really fun to watch and
hmm
honestly kind of surprising because I did not think I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting them to have the season they had with all the new faces, all the newcomers. I thought it might take a year for the new guys to get going, but I don't know, man. I feel like I might owe Gino DiMario an apology.
No,
What?
yeah, in the middle of the year, that 14-game win streak, just everything clicked. And it helped that all the new guys that came in really started to contribute early. And I think the thing that stood out about this team during that win streak and when they really were playing well at the end of March and the start of April was that every single piece would contribute. You did obviously, in a 50 odd game season, you need your big players to win you some games, but also like they can't always win you games. So that series against Notre Dame when we had Gabby Gutierrez contributing on that Friday night after he only had one home run all year and he hit two in that game. Throughout this whole season covering this team, it's a different player every week, whether it was Kafis or Burke or Morales. So every player kind of came together and helped this team win, which was important.
Yeah, and now of course they got the ACC tournament coming up. How important do you think that is for the team? Because like I feel like they pretty much have their national seed locked up outside of just a horrible performance in the tournament. Do you think it's important that they have a good showing, or at this point, do you think they're good?
It never hurts for them to want to go out and win the ACC, just try and move up as further as they can. Because if they do bomb at this tournament and lose both games like they did last year when they lost to Florida State and Duke, if they do lose these two games, then you run the risk of not being able to host a super regional. I think they pretty much have it locked in, but just to have confidence up for these players and especially for the pitching staff going into what will be a tough regional because last time I checked, I saw it was like UConn and Florida beat us 2 out of 3 this year, and UConn have been ranked basically all year. So it's never going to be easy. So you want to have the pitchers going, feeling confident going into that regional.
It seems like they always throw us into the toughest regional. I remember, I mean, this was a while ago. I remember in the 2008 regional, we were the number one team in the country, and we were rated as like the toughest bracket. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's just tough when you play in the South because they always try and pair it up based on like
On the region.
on the region. So you're
Yeah.
always going to play an SEC team if whether you're hosting or not hosting. Last year we went to Gainesville. Last time we made a regional, we went to Mississippi State. And even like Big 12 teams, like we had to host what was it, Texas Tech, like back in 2013 when they
Mhm.
came up short. So you're always going to have to play someone tough. It's just with UConn this year, they've been so good in the Big East. So they're definitely a team to watch for if Miami gets them. But overall, I think the story with this Miami team all year is when they lose, I think they beat themselves more than they get beat by other teams. I think when you look at the FSU series recently, a lot of errors cost them in game 2, and then they just couldn't hit in game 3. You just need to be able to piece together. Don't commit the errors. And I'm not saying that they have to commit 0 errors in the regional to be able to win. But they got to limit the mistakes. They got to get innings out of their pitchers, and they definitely have the bats to keep it up and try and go for a deep run, make it back to Omaha.
Oh, for sure. The talent's
Mm-hmm.
there. And
Yeah.
the thing that drives me most nuts as a fan, you're deeper in it, obviously, but what I've seen from the games I've watched is leaving guys on base drives me insane.
Yeah, they struggle with that really bad in some weekends. There's some weekends where when the hitting is just contagious. I think a big thing with
Yeah.
this team actually is like depends on how they start games because there's times where they just start off games in the first and second inning. It's like, yeah, they're gonna play like this all game. But when they struggle early and maybe their pitching struggles early, they don't have the tendency to come back as much as people love to call them the comeback games. But overall, I think when they get going early, they've always said like the whole hitting is contagious mentality. Like when they get going, when they get their leadoff guys on, then they tend to do a lot better in those innings.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, that's the mark of a young team. But you know what? I think they got the talent to do it, to get that 6th national title. So we'll see what happens, man. I hope they at least get to Omaha. That's always fun when they do.
If they do make it there, I mean, it's it's gonna be so hard to beat Tennessee this year. I don't know if you've seen their pitching.
Aren't they like 48-3 or something?
They're insane. They were insane. I don't know. I think they won like 28 games in a row during this season, and their bats are insane, but their pitching is just like Burns and Dollander are both going to be like all 3 of their starting pitchers right now probably will be in the MLB in like 6 years. It's insane.
That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the goal is to make Omaha for this team, I think. Like if you're gonna, as long as you don't completely bomb at this tournament, which you should at least, at the very worst, win one and lose one in pool play. And I don't even think they will, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost one or they didn't make it to the semifinals. But all they have to do is just not fully implode in those 2 games that they have in pool play, and they're gonna be a national seed, which is huge because they've been so good at home all year. I think they were 28-7 at home. They're such a different team at home. So if they can get if they can just show up, play all right at this ACC tournament, then they'll be a national seed and they put themselves in basically the position to where it's their ticket to lose if they want to go to Omaha.
Right. Mark Stamper's asking, hey, can you teach Flo a little bit about baseball? I wouldn't even know where to begin with Flo.
You just gotta get
Flo. There's 9 innings. Okay, let's start there.
He really doesn't know anything about baseball.
He knows a little bit, like the basics. He was talking about it on his show last night. I was watching. I wasn't on last night's show, but yeah, it was pretty funny. Also, he didn't get he's not a huge baseball fan, so he didn't get the excitement behind it. I was gonna tell him next time I saw him, like, bro, we lost 5-0. That's why it wasn't fun.
No, you just got to get him to a game at the light. You got to get him like 3 rows in front of us where you got like the Mark Light mob to the left with a yelling rag arm all game. Like you just got to get him there, and he will love baseball.
Well, yeah. If he had gone the next day when it was like 16-7 or something, that was a fun game.
That was awesome. Yeah. That was probably their best performance hitting wise the entire year, and they'd put up more runs in that game. But that game was just awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. Good way to finish. But anyway, let's switch gears because I know a lot of the chat is here for football, so they're waiting for us to switch over. So,
100%.
All right. So, overall, now that initial portal season ended, spring has come and gone. I really haven't had a chance to talk to you much since then. We've added some guys. Now going to the summer, what's your overall feeling of this roster? I mean, obviously, I think we got better with the portal guys we got. Do you think – I've been asking a lot of people this lately, so I'll ask you.
No, go for it.
What do you feel like? Do you think we have enough on this roster to win the ACC this year?
I think it more depends on how other teams do, but I definitely think this is a roster, if it all meshes together, that should be going to the ACC championship. I mean, if you look at the schedule, just looking at the schedule, this team is talented enough and should be well coached enough to where they should go undefeated in Miami this year. There is no way they should lose to North Carolina or Florida State or Pittsburgh at home. And I know Pittsburgh are good, and I know they got Slovis, and I know they had a really good season last year with Pickett and Narduzzi, but I think this team is talented enough to where the only 2, maybe 3 games they lose all season should be on the road.
I'd agree with you there. I mean, I've been saying it for the last few years. They should at least have a goal of going undefeated at home
Yeah.
because we really haven't. I mean, all our like the Alabamas games like that have been all been neutral site or on the road.
Mhm.
You got to start going undefeated at home like we did in 2017.
Yeah.
That Pittsburgh game is right after Clemson, so that one's not going to be easy.
Yeah, the end of the season is rough, I'll say that. But overall, like if you look at the schedule, they didn't really do us too dirty. I mean, it alternates home away for pretty much the entire season up until that end of the year where they play at Georgia Tech and at Clemson. But there's not really too many trap games on the schedule outside of maybe Georgia Tech because it's right after Florida State. It's going into Clemson, and then Pittsburgh just at the end of the year because Miami never seems to end seasons well. But this is a team that they should be well coached enough. And I know there's concerns about, is wide receiver position good enough after losing Harley and Rambo last year? Or, is the offensive line going to be improved enough? I think they should be talented enough to be able to put themselves in the position to finally win the Coastal again.
Yeah, I think the last couple of years I've been saying, look, the basics: tackle better, block better, and catch the damn ball, and we're gonna win games.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about the blocking part, not too worried about the tackling part. I think that's already improved. I saw it in the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
Catching the ball, we'll see. But I think
Yeah.
the overall talent level of the receiver room has improved. It's got
Oh,
the Popes and the Wiggins. Now you got Jacoby, Brinson, X is a junior now. I think overall it's much better.
I will say this: not enough people are giving Jacoby George the respect that he should get going into this year. And I know he didn't play too much last year, and I know he really only broke out at the end of the season against Virginia Tech and against Duke. But throughout spring and throughout that spring game, I think he was our best receiver. I think that he fully can step in. I'm not going to say he can have a 1,000-yard season, but I think he can take over for Rambo as that wide receiver one for us this year.
Yeah, and this is with the wild card Frank Ladson. We're not even thinking of him. Like I take whatever he does, I take it as gravy. If he comes in and he takes over as the number one guy, awesome. But I think we got enough beyond him.
I think they're definitely going to design some plays for Ladson, especially deep in the red zone. That was the one thing that I think Miami has lacked for a while. Like, what was the last like really good red zone threat Miami have had? Like Lawrence Cager was decent one year, but overall, like Miami has not had a red zone threat receiver in a long time, and I think that Ladson could be that just with his size. But I also love the tight end room this year. I think that maybe a lot of people are looking at the wide receiver room and saying like, they don't look great. Like, Restrepo was inconsistent last year, I guess would be the word. And Jacoby George is going to have to take a big step up. I love all three tight ends that they can go with this year. Mallory's back. Arroyo looked really good at the start of spring. And I think Jaleel Skinner, like, they got to find a way to get him involved. I don't know if it's going to be this year because he's a freshman, but going forwards, that guy is going to be very good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's a guy that you can line up wide. You can line him up anywhere. He's kind of like
Yeah.
that. I always blank on his name. The dude from Kyle Pitts. He's kind of like that mold of tight end. You can line him up anywhere.
He made some plays actually. The way they put him and Garcia on like some wheel routes, and there was one drill they had. I think it was like towards the end of spring where he would just run this. He'd start out here and he'd go up like across the field, and it's just like I'm not even watching a tight end right now. But just the way that he would run, like he does definitely remind me of Pitts, just because of the way that Pitts is able to not only is he so good with his hands, but he's so freakishly athletic. You could play him out wide. I think they could design a lot for Skinner. I don't know how much they're going to use him this year, just because Mallory is back, and then Arroyo's probably going to take some steps up after being a freshman. But I really think Skinner is going to be an X factor if they use him this year.
Oh, for sure. I think they're going to use him. There's going to actually, right as I'm thinking it, Alex saying you could see us going 3 tight end in the red zone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't mean to use like a NFL example, but like when you look at the way the Buccaneers would run sometimes, where they'd throw Gronk, Brait, and Howard out there at the same time, like no team could guard that just because of how wide and lanky they are. But like if Miami goes Mallory, Arroyo, and Skinner out there at one time, like there's gonna be a mismatch that Van Dyke's gonna be able to find if the offensive line gives him enough time, which I think they will this year.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe 1 or 2 games, I think the offensive line is going to be improved. Now, I think the one question that everyone has asked me is like the A&M game. Like, how much of a chance are you giving Miami? That will all depend on coaching for me because I think the talent's like there, but that game's literally going to be one of has our coaching staff done a good enough job with this offensive line unit to where they can block A&M? Because I think we have the talent that to compete with them. I think if we make a couple plays on the defensive side of the ball, on I believe Haynes King will be their starter. I don't know. They have like three guys that could start at quarterback by the time that game opens up. But I think our defense could make enough plays, and it's just a matter of whether we give Van Dyke enough time. And it's like the North Carolina game last year where he gets forced into mistakes and we lose there, or if it was like the second half of the year where they gave him a bunch of time and he was able to really make plays.
Yeah, you know what I think it's all going to come down to, honestly, it's running the ball. If we can run the football consistently, I think we could beat anybody on this schedule,
Mm-hmm.
especially A&M. You're able to run the ball, all of a sudden everything opens up on offense, and this offense could get scary real quick.
Well, I was gonna say that's what worked for Gaddis so much last year in Michigan when they were really able to run the ball. There was no team that could stop Michigan, even though their quarterbacks last year weren't good. But when they were able to run the ball against teams, I mean, you saw when they beat Ohio State. Everyone saw when they beat Ohio State. Like when they're able to run the ball, they were not easy to compete with. And Miami's kind of that same way. If the run blocking is good enough, we have the talent in the running back room now. It's not what it was a couple of years ago. There's serious talent in this running back room. It's just a matter of them getting holes, and I think they will.
For sure. And yeah, you just said the talent. I mean, you go 4 layers deep and you got Trevante Citizen sitting there waiting in the wing. So if somebody gets nicked up, now you got a freshman stud you can plug in. But anyway, Concrete, my brother, I haven't heard from him in a while. My Canes unit brother, Cafecito, let's get it. You guys think Kevin Steele runs a 3 linebacker set, sticks with 4-2-5, or adjusts game by game? I think we run multiple set. I think we show some 3-4 at some points, honestly. Well, because like with the tweener guys that we have, a lot of guys 270, 280 that can play both positions on the line. I think we run all sorts of different formations. What do you think?
I think it's totally going to be something that they adjust with all the new transfers. I think the 3-4 would help with Antonio Moultrie, who we got from UAB. I think he could definitely provide some good pressure off the edge. But I think he's gonna throw out a lot of different ways that you can use. Because when you look at the safety room that Miami has, I mean, they are loaded back there. They could throw Frierson basically all over the place. It's shown that he can play safe. He came in as a safety, and then he came in as a linebacker as well. They can throw him all over the place. There's a lot of diversity, I think, with this defensive unit. I think that's going to help them a lot.
For sure. And I said this, I forgot what show I was on, but I think what's going to be key for this defense is first down. If you can set up 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, the different NASCAR packages that you can throw at people, it's going to be insane. Like it's a wrap if it's 3rd and long. If it's 3rd and short, that's where we can get into trouble because I don't know if this D line has the size to just plug up holes and stop the run.
Yeah.
And obviously we have our issues at linebacker. I don't know if you agree, but yeah, that's kind of my feeling on what the defense is. It's coming out. 1st and 2nd down is going to be massive for this team.
No, I think they're going to be able to generate pressure. I think this year, I think they've gotten enough transfers in. They've gotten enough experience. They're going to have Leonard playing more consistently next year. That I think they're going to be a good 3rd down team. I agree. Like if they are able to force them into 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 7s, whoever they're playing, I think they're going to be able to generate enough pressure to where they can mask the linebacker issues and maybe some cornerback issues. I think the cornerbacks are going to step up this year, but I think as long as they're not too poor against the run, which is an issue because they did lose both their tackles from last year. I mean, Ford was drafted and Silvera transferred. So I think that's going to be a big thing. If they can stop the run on those early downs, wrap up quickly, then yeah, they should generate enough pressure on 3rd down.
I agree. Category 5. He said it best. We tackle, we're good.
Yeah. when Miami does not beat themselves, and I guess this goes for almost every sport now, when they don't beat themselves, they can beat anybody.
On this schedule, yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
Yeah, last year, Alabama probably not, but like when this Miami team will play anybody in the ACC, and that includes Clemson. If they can play mistake-free football, they can win every game that they play. with this coaching staff
Mhm.
and this level of talent on the offensive side of the ball, even those elite playmakers that you have defensively with your two safeties, with Leonard Taylor, with some of the transfers they've got in, they should be able to win a lot of games on this schedule.
I agree. Yeah, I think back to last year, games we should have won. I mean, there's like at least three of them that were right there for
Mhm.
us. And
I mean,
so,
first two ACC games, missed a field goal against Virginia and
yeah,
threw an interception with 15 seconds left because we decided to run play action after the clock wasn't stopped.
which literally one of the worst play calls I ever seen in my life.
Man, that was so bad.
The clock is not stopped. You have a first down. You already have the game time field goal, a chip shot. You throw it into the dirt on that play.
Yeah, that was bad.
I I,
I was literally there for that too, and it
I
was just
I'm sure.
nuts.
Yeah. That was yeah. I lost it on that play,
Yeah,
but
no, that was so bad.
the next week, which I kind of gave up all hope at this point, we come out swinging on defense against NC State. And we're swarming to the. I mean, the technique wasn't perfect, but we are swarming to the ball.
Yeah.
If we played like that against Michigan State, I think we beat them probably convincingly.
Yeah, they were. I mean, that Michigan State game was just so bad on so many different levels. The way we started this season with the personnel that we had, they didn't deliver in that game. It was
No,
brutal. It was a
drop
brutal game
aspect.
because there was so much expectation on it. You know,
Yeah,
top. Power 5 matchup at home. Crowd was going crazy early on, and like they played all right in the first half. Like they had the lead for most of that first half, but man, that second half was just awful.
they had the lead with turnovers, with a drop pass in the end zone.
Yeah,
Gervin Hall tackling the wrong person. Like
that play, I saw that
that
play
changed the
so
game.
many times.
That
Yeah,
that changed the
no, it
game.
did. It totally did. Because it wasn't like because literally their quarterback, the way they designed plays up until the second half when they really opened it up was just quick hitters. They were just screens that we just didn't make plays on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, Cal, I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to keep you up too much longer. Just got one more
Yeah.
question for you. So, on this schedule, aside from the obvious three being Clemson, Texas A&M, and Florida State, obviously those are the three biggest games on the schedule. What other game do you think it's kind of a sneaky, kind of like this is, I think you mentioned one earlier. This is like a game it's very important that we win this one. Like which game is that for you?
I'd say Virginia Tech, actually. I think Georgia Tech is the trap game because it's right in between Florida State and Clemson, which is two of our biggest games of the year. But you're probably going to be 3-1 or 4-2 going into that Virginia Tech game. And if you're 4-1 and you win that game on the road, because it's never an easy place to win. Even when they're bad, it's never easy to go to Lane Stadium and win a game. Even though they did it the last time they played, the last two times actually they've played there. But that's a game that if they win, if they're 4-1, you're now 5-1 going into Duke, and you look relatively legit. And that loss would probably come to A&M. And who's saying they don't pull a fast one against A&M if A&M doesn't shoot themselves in the foot in that game? But you're most likely going to that game 4-1 or 3-2. If you lose that game, you drop to 3-3. Then you really have to look at like not winning out, but like basically winning every single game apart from Clemson to make sure that you have a chance at the ACC championship. But I think that Virginia Tech game is so massive because it's a road game. It's the second road game they're going to play in that season. And if they're able to win that one, it's going to be a lot of momentum, whether they've started well or they haven't started well.
Yeah, that's good. That's an interesting one because they have a new coach.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting his name. He played for Virginia Tech, and I remember you might have seen the clip of him. His introductory press conference at Virginia Tech. He kind of took a little shot at. He was a player at Virginia Tech in like '93, and they upset Miami that year. So of course I'd love to win that game, but new coach. I don't really know what to expect from Tech this year. It's in Blacksburg, super tough place to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even in my opinion, you got to beat UNC the week before because no matter what happens after Texas A&M, win or lose, you got to shake it off and beat a UNC. You got to, first of all, they've owned us. You got to beat them for that reason.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's at home. And one thing we haven't done, seems like the last decade plus, is shake off a loss, and get on a winning streak. And the good thing is, I'm looking at the schedule. There's a bye week. There's Middle Tennessee should be an easy win. Even if we come out flat, maybe we shake off some rust that week. And then the next week is a bye week. I have more faith in Mario Cristobal than I do in Manny Diaz after a bye week.
Yeah, that will be a big thing, is how they come out like that first quarter off of a bye week. That should tell where our coaching is from years before and where it should be now.
Yeah. Hurricane 92 was saying where he getting a second loss before. You're probably referring to UNC.
Yeah, UNC. They'll win the 3 non-conference home games. They'll probably lose an A&M, so they'll be 3-1, and then the UNC game you'll either be going into Virginia Tech, you'll either be 4-1 or 3-2.
Right.
Because you got UNC. You shouldn't lose that game. You should beat UNC.
They should. Do they have a 5-star stud quarterback or something I'm not aware of? Or
what's the guy they have? They have their backup from last year who didn't really play too much. I think he was a 4-star. I think he was like a low 4-star.
Okay.
But their team hasn't really. They lost Chandler. They lost their running back. He's gone. They only had him for 1 year. So that's one huge piece that we couldn't contain last year that's gone. They still have Downs, but without Howell to throw to him, then it might be different. I know the guy they have, at least if I'm thinking of the right guy, doesn't have as good as an arm as Howell did. So, they should win that game. They should win that game.
Yeah. Max says Drake
May.
Yeah. So I agree. It's at home. They should win that game. Going into that game at least 3-1, the crowd should be pretty good. It'll probably be hopefully a night game. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
No reason you should lose that game. But anyway, Cal, again, thank you for coming on. I know you probably got a lot to do. You're up home in Wisconsin now, so hope you enjoy it. Enjoy that perfect weather because it's hot as hell down here. So
yeah, that's the one really good thing about being here. These games that I'm going to be calling are 70 degrees, 60 degrees, and it's just so different to 95, where it's it can be not hot in the summer.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not used to that. I've grown up in Florida my whole life, so I'm just used to 95 degrees and humid every day.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Take care. Go find Cal on Twitter. Again, he's a beat writer for Kane Sport. Writes a lot of good stuff, so go follow him. Cal, again, appreciate it, man. I'll have you on, maybe later once the season starts, and we'll talk some football.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Cal Friedman, great dude, man. He's a young kid going into his senior year, man. I'm trying to remember what I was doing senior year of college. I definitely wasn't doing anything he was doing, man. He knows his stuff. So great job by him. should be moving to the Big Ten or SEC ASAP. ACC is craptastic. I've been saying that for years, man. We don't play. Turn on the light here. 1 second. We don't play in the best conference. Agreed. But we got to start by dominating this conference. The division has been ours for the taking for the better part of 15 years because we've had the most talented roster in the division for 15 years. So let's see if I missed any questions along the way. I saw this from 904. Yeah, remember who's coaching the linebackers. I agree with you, sir. I think he's going to get a lot out of what he has. He has enough with, Chase Smith, Wes, Caleb Johnson, who just came in. I think you got enough pieces there that you can make it work. And they're not going to be elite, but they could be solid, especially with the secondary they have behind them. But I love what he said. Interesting about Va-Tech, because I'm thinking about the schedule. There are some potential pitfalls that we really gotta come prepared. UNC, Virginia Tech, those are those games in the middle of the season that I would feel very nervous about in the past because I'd be like, which Canes team is going to show up today? Oh, we have a bye week? Ugh, we always come out super flat after a bye week. That's one thing I'm very excited to see with this new staff. How do we come out after a bye week? How do we come out after an emotional game, an emotional loss maybe? That's something I really want to see because I keep thinking back to, as far as being prepared, I keep thinking back to that 2020 regular season finale, senior day at the stadium. Obviously, it's still COVID time. There's very, very limited fans there. UNC just comes out, runs the same 2 running plays for 60 minutes against us, and racks up like 900 billion yards and like 27 touchdowns. And we couldn't stop it. We couldn't stop it because we just, for whatever reason, refused to make an adjustment. We got Kevin Steele now. We got Charlie Strong now. We got Mario Cristobal now. No way in hell does anything like that happen again. If a team sees that something's working against us and they're gashing us up the middle or hitting us with a play action that we can't stop, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. I think we adjust and that stuff gets fixed immediately, like on the second drive. Oh, I don't know if you guys remember this. This just popped into my head. Do you remember that 2018 game against, 2019 against Virginia Tech? That was the one where we spot them like 28 points because Jaron Williams just kept throwing interceptions. We found out later he was hurt, shouldn't have played that game, but whatever. And they bring in N'Kosi Perry, and N'Kosi Perry goes nuts, throws 4 touchdowns on like 400 yards. We almost win the game, but Bubba Baxa misses an extra point. We give up a touchdown late, we lose. In that game, I remember, again, not being prepared, not adjusting. I remember they hit us with this play like 3 or 4 times where it's kind of like a little jailbreak screen where Hendon Hooker, I think this was like his freshman or sophomore year, I think he rolls out. It's like a little play action fake. It's like a little, everyone goes one way, but the tight end sneaks out another way. He lobs it, just dumps it off. It wasn't even a pretty ball he threw to him. It was just, he dumped it off to him, and he would be butt naked wide open every time and get like 20, 30 yards on the play. And they would do it on 3rd and long against us, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, those are – sorry I brought that up, but those are just examples of not the coaching staff previously, and when I say staff, I mean the guy in charge, not doing the right things to be prepared and not adjusting just at all. So that stuff I'm not worried about. Tackling, I'm not too worried about. I think that's going to take more than 1 year to fix completely, but I think it's already improved. The run blocking looks like it's improved and still improving. We'll keep adding more talent to that O-line. But yeah, I mean, I saw a great article today about about Alex Mirabal in the Herald. I think bringing him in, obviously he wasn't going. Cristobal was not going to come without Mirabal. They're both high school buddies. They played together, they coached together their entire careers. One wasn't coming without the other. I think bringing him was a game changer for this offensive line. And, we all love the talk about, the swag and, all the speed and athleticism we used to beat teams with and all that. Listen, you need to dominate in the trenches to win consistently. And that's what the teams of old did. We hit you in the mouth, and it wasn't like, it wasn't graceful. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't exotic. We just lined up and we out-executed you. We put your defensive line on their ass, and our running backs were gashing your defense. And then once you think you've had enough of that, little play action, Dorsey to Johnson for a touchdown, Dorsey to Shockey over the middle for 30, 40 yards. That's how we beat teams. It wasn't anything super exotic. We just out-executed you, and it started at the line of scrimmage. Concrete, I turned that 2019 VTech game off, turned it back on. Yeah, should have kept it off. Man, I was there. That was the one where DJ Dallas scores what should have been the go-ahead touchdown. We're down 6. He, jukes a couple guys out, takes it to the house. Stadium's going crazy. Would have been a huge game to win at the time, because I think we only had a couple losses at that time. That was a turning point game. That game saved Justin Fuente's job at the time. And we score, places going crazy. Bubba Baxa I think hits the extra point off the upright and just deflates the entire team. And yeah, it just let the air out of the whole stadium. And after that, our defense allows a touchdown. If he makes the extra point, do we stop him on the other end? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we play with more energy. Who knows? On Twitter, Zoe is a cane. Oh, is this the big news we were expecting? Can anyone confirm this? Because I was hearing rumors. Let's see. Don't see anything yet. If anybody can confirm, what Stacey Hall's saying, because I want to check during the show. ACC is going to do away with the conferences and go to 2 best teams playing the championship, like the Big 12 does and the Pac-12. Just switch to this format as well. Yeah. I mean, look, as long as we start winning the damn conference, I don't care how they do it. But yeah, I think this is the whole, they want to go to, you play 3 opponents every season and then everything else rotates, which I obviously I think Florida State, Virginia Tech should be 2. Florida State, Virginia Tech, and either Pitt or UNC would be the 3rd game. Nothing has been confirmed. Okay. All right. I mean, he said it in the chat, so I was like, did I miss something? Because again, I can't really be scrolling through Twitter during the show. But thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me know nothing's been confirmed yet. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if any news breaks. Let's see. Did I miss any questions from before? Do you believe the defense can be dominant this year? I hit that one already. should be. Oh yeah, I already hit that one. All right, guys. So unless anybody has any other questions, I think we could pretty much wrap it up there. A little slow. It's the off season, so I'll stop it now. But I'm sure we'll have something. I'm sure we'll have something to talk about, by next week. Some off topic. Are you going to see the new Top Gun movie? This might not be a popular opinion, but I saw first Top Gun a long time ago. It's good. It's fine. It's a good movie. It's not, maybe it was better back then. It just didn't stand the test of time. Good cast. It's a good movie. Am I going to see the second one? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Mark, thank you, sir. Les, thank you. Max, yep, already read it. All right, so hopefully there'll be some bigger news to talk about next week. Again, the Canes start the ACC tournament tomorrow. I want to say they play either NC State or Wake Forest. I think it's NC State. By the way, I would love for them to do, I don't know where the ACC tournament is. I think it's always in North Carolina, but I would love to see them do it in Miami at some point. I don't know why it's always got to be up there. You should rotate it. I think having it at the Light would be really cool. But whatever. The regionals are going to be here. The super regionals are probably going to be here. I can't wait. Those are way different from a regular season game. Flo, if you're listening, go to a postseason baseball game. Go to a game against Florida. Trust me, you're going to have a lot more fun. You went to a game where it was kind of rainy. We had like 2 hits the entire game. We lost 5-0. No. I'm a baseball fan. I would have been bored at that game. So try one of those. All right. So good luck to them. Good luck to obviously the Heat. They got whooped yesterday, but that series is going 7. So good luck to them in game 5. At some point during the offseason, I'd like to discuss how Miami won 3 national championships in 5 years. And yet it's the 2001 team that's the greatest. You know what? I'll write that down. We can discuss that. That'd be a nice little debate to have. That and also one of my favorite debates is which was the best team to not win a national championship. I saw one and followed very closely. It was the 2002 team. To me, it's either 86 or 88. One of those 2 teams was those two teams were so dominant, especially 86. I mean, I don't know how they screwed up that Fiesta Bowl game. No halftime in baseball flow. Yeah, but we can talk about that. One quick answer I can give you, 904, it was the roster. That roster was just stupid with, just top to bottom. Winston says 86 team. Might have to agree with you, man. That defensive line in the late 80s with Cortez and Jerome Brown, Russell Maryland. I mean, how teams got a first down on us is beyond me. And then in the early 90s, you had the Bermuda Triangle, which I hope we can have something like that again at linebacker. We'll see. But anyways, guys, I'll let y'all go. Have a good night, everybody. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Go follow me on Twitter, and